welcome to Fintech Focus TV. I'm Toby and today I'm delighted to be joined by Sjoerd Leemhuis from Owlin. How are you?
Hey, Toby, I'm fine, thank you. How about yourself?
Very, very good, thank you. Very, very good. Listen, thanks so much for joining us. You're out in Amsterdam at the moment.
I am.
Sunny outside by the looks of it, so we're in good spirits.
You can always say we're in the same office, right? But we're definitely not. So you're in London, I'm in Amsterdam, but we tend to like the same designs, I guess.
It's like I'm talking to you face to face. You've got more foliage in the background there, so I need to.
Oh, okay. True. Thanks.
Listen, it's lovely talking to you. I've heard a little bit about the company. It sounds like it's going great guns for you at the moment. Congratulations, you guys made the list of the most influential fintech financial technology companies for 2020 from our judges. Really exciting time for you in the business. But for those of you who haven't heard yet, tell us a little bit more about the company and what you guys do.
Yeah, so we are Owlin, and we look at news and text for the financial markets. Our mission is to shape a better informed world, and what we help structuring all the news out there. So we look at 3 million news sources all over the world, and then we help analyzing them on what are the trends and the risks that have impact on your investment portfolio. So we mainly serve asset managers on the buy side. But also banks and then especially risk managers, but also payments companies, so payment service providers, by tracking the risks in their portfolio to track their merchants if not anything is happening that might need immediate attention.
Understood. And there's obviously been a huge need for this sort of thing, and it's and more informed world means better decisions. And obviously in the space that you're in. One of the features of companies who thrived in this year's list has been solving direct problems. Why do you think this has been so innovative, what you're doing at the moment? It seems like you've got the data side, the analysis side, you've got a genuine need for a marketplace. Why are you shaking the game?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things happening at the same time right now. So one of the trends that you see is that there's more and more text and news being produced every day. So there's not a lack of information anymore. There's a surplus of information. But now we get new challenges. So one of the big challenges is to know which information is relevant for you and which is not. So what we do is we consolidate everything. And we focus on what are the trends in the news and what is immediately relevant for your portfolio or the companies you're tracking. And that's something that is also recently possible with technology like the natural language processing that we use. It's also a form of artificial intelligence that we use that aids you and helps you in that you know where to watch and know what to do with that information.
Cutting edge technology allowing people to do their job better and more simply again.
Definitely. So one of the things that a human impossibly can achieve is going through all the news articles that are produced every day or all the annual reports of every company in your portfolio. And computers are really, really good at that and can immediately focus on what are the outliers, what are the weird trends, and what are the things you want to be aware of. And in most cases, not in all cases, but in most cases, there's eventually still a human that looks at the data and then makes a decision. But that's being aided by use of artificial intelligence and the natural language processing that we do.
So let's talk very topically, if we can, at the moment. We're sat here in mid-March now. We're seeing one of the most unprecedented sort of times of my recent memory in business, and across the global economies, there's an awful lot going on. How can you help with this sort of stuff, and what are you guys seeing?
Yeah, so what's happening right now is that we get suddenly the coronavirus coming out of China, spreading throughout the world, and this has a severe impact on the world economy. But it's interesting what's going to happen also a bit deeper down in the markets, because everyone is also looking at what will happen with the interest and also what will happen with, for instance, the leveraged loan market. And that's also an interesting market because there's always a big question from which angle and which markets will be hit the most by the next crisis. And I can tell you we serve payment service providers that are actually monitoring travel companies worldwide. And travel companies are hit by the crisis now as well. But you want to know if they give like profit warnings or if they might face any bankruptcy risk. Because if you're a payment service provider, you are responsible for giving all the consumers their money back, their chargebacks. So that's how our technology helps stabilizing this. So it helps at least monitoring what's going on with the travel agencies, travel companies right now.
Yeah.
And another thing is if the interest will go up, there's a huge leveraged loan market out there as well. But no one really knows all the SMEs that currently are in business depending on the loans. And no one really knows if some of these SMEs might have already defaulted. And that information we can derive from the news. So we can look at different markets, we can look at companies, listed companies, non-listed companies, and then we can give you a trend line, whether we see bankruptcies increasing or decreasing or stabilizing. And that information is extremely valuable for the people that use our insights.
Yeah, absolutely. And your story is now, what, 7 years old as a business, is that correct?
Yes, we are. We're about 7 years old, but we're a technology company. So the first couple of years, we invested a lot in building the foundations of our platform. I think we're about 4 or 5 years. We're actively selling the products that we have.
And tell us a little bit about the growth so far.
So we're a bit old if it comes to technology started because we bootstrapped our way in the beginning to success. Yeah. Maybe it's a Dutch habit, but the Dutch always like to only spend money that they really have on their bank account. And but that gave us a great success, and it gave us also it forced us to listen very closely to the market needs and immediately develop a product that fitted on what our users eventually wanted to have and work with. So we bootstrapped the beginning, and then we from this situation we already got a pretty global client base. So right now we have clients in London, in New York, in Singapore, in Brazil. We only have, I think, 1/3 of our revenue is coming from our homeland, the Netherlands, and 2/3 is coming from abroad. And then last year we decided to close a round of finance to also to get a bit of risk out of the model, but also to open an office in the US. And I can tell you we are incorporated in the US right now, and next month we will have people working in our office also to set the footprint in the US and make that one bigger.
Incredible. And whereabouts in the US have you landed?
We've landed on Park Avenue in New York. And the reason that we're in New York is that we already had a client base in New York. Yeah. We have a partnership with Fitch Ratings, and Fitch Ratings is of course also based in London, but also based in New York, dual head office. But we also work closely with more asset managers in New York, and also the Big Four consultants in New York. So for us, it was a very logical step to be there.
Yeah, no, it's a very similar sort of story to us. So we moved into New York maybe 3-4 years ago now, just a couple of blocks away from you.
Perfect.
Again, it was based off a client base there that was, the same in London that moved over to New York. So I think there's a great opportunity, isn't there, to take the States in the market and to see growth over there as well. In terms of what's next, so you're scaling internationally. You see a business with domestic revenue being about 30% of what you do. A brilliantly self-funded business originally that starts to grow. You've just had, as you say, a round of investment. What's next for the business? What comes next for you?
Yeah. So what's important in this growth stage is with our technology. So we look at news, we look at text, we structure unstructured data. The use cases are endless, and that's a fantastic opportunity. But that's also immediately a risk in the execution. So you should not go after every opportunity and every problem in this world. Because it's important to specialize and to focus and tackle some first problems first. And So the problems we're after right now are really in the domain of risk management, and also for asset managers, also some buy side analysis of what are the trends and developments in your portfolio. But what we have done at this moment is combined our data also with some structured data. So think of CDS data. If a CDS goes up, it's also an indication of risk. And then together with the stock data, CDS data, analysis on annual reports, and also ratings, you get a whole view, like a 360 view of what's happening in your portfolio. So we allow all that data to come in on our platform right now. And then we have algorithms comparing that and looking at the outliers, and then alerting you what needs immediate attention. And so it goes a bit beyond just the natural language processing, although that's at the core of our business. We instead are not taking our technology as a central point, but really the problems and the use cases in this world as a starting point, and then build a complete product around these group of users that we serve.
You know what? I think that is fundamentally one of the reasons why you guys have been highlighted in this in this listing. You know, there are so many companies out there, and I say this a lot, but there's so many companies out there who are so technology led that they fail to actually look at what the customer's looking for. And whenever I speak to the most successful businesses in the space, I'm hearing time and time again, that need to focus and that need to specialize. But alongside that, I'm really hearing people talk about the customer. And from a business there that sort of said, right, let's build the product around what our clients are actually suffering from or need. It is without question, and it's the most obvious business case that you can possibly think of. But it's so rare that someone will actually look at that and say, do you know what? Let's really stand in the customer's shoes and provide a solution here that's going to change their world.
I think it's one of the hardest challenges also if you start scaling a company. It's you need to be aware of your own technology stack quite well, but also need to be aware of what's happening in the market. And you also need to have enough people in your team that can translate from one side to the other, and also the other way around. Yeah. And that's we put a lot of effort in. Although we're of course a very flat organization, as you can expect, it still takes a lot of effort to keep everyone informed and keep everyone on the same page, because you need to basically educate all your business folks and your clients. You need to educate them on what you can do with the latest technologies. And then we have a whole data science team, a whole development team that also needs to be aware for what purpose they are developing. And but I think if you are able to connect those two worlds together, that's a big recipe for success as well.
Let's speaking of recipes for success, one of the other things that comes in and the judges look at a lot is that team. From the leadership and the founders through to the guys that you've got around you. You mentioned you've got a team in Amsterdam, you've got a team in New York now, or starting to grow a team in New York. Tell us a little bit about the team.
So I think it all starts with the team and the people, right? So one of the books I've read was the Scaling Up of Vern Harnish. I don't know if you ever read that book. It's very nice read because it's extremely simple to understand. And it comes down. It all starts with the people first. With the people you formulate your strategy. If your execution is right, it will eventually result in cash and from which you can hire better people again. So I think one of the prime jobs that I have in this company is make sure we get the right people in, and also make sure that the right people get the right empowerment to do their job the way they want. Because in the end, of course you need a vision, of course you need ID, and you need to drive the company forward. But even more important that you have people that know how to bring the company forward themselves as well. So I think we put a lot of emphasis on our hiring and recruitment process to make sure that we hire the people we want. If we don't hire. So we rather take a bit more time to hire than hire the wrong profiles. Nice. And with those folks, we decide together the next strategic moves of the company, and we build the company together.
And so do you have hiring plans that you look at over a scope of a project or a scope of a year? Or do you look at it and say, look, let's find the right people, and when they come available, we'll bring them into the team? What's your strategy?
It's a bit of combination of both. So I think we always have our plans and our hiring plan. So I have a hiring plan for this whole year. But simultaneously, the market moves so fast and the company moves so fast. You need to keep your eyes open, and you also need to be able to move and adapt quickly enough. If someone comes around that we find very talented, we will just make space available. So it's actually a bit of a combination of having a good plan and being willing and able to adapt and adjust your plan on the fly.
Yeah. And as you say, look, hiring is one of the it's the critical skill of scaling a business, right? And you say, I think you'll find, you'll wait until you find the right people, and if you've got doubts, you won't bring them in. What makes you good at hiring, do you think? What's made that successful for you?
Well, okay. So we followed we love like to use different models and methodologies. Once we got our round of finance, we sat together with the whole team and I said, okay, guys, the team is going to grow significantly. But everyone within Owlin can decide what type of people we're going to hire. And it's all in getting our core values straight. So we started with defining the core values of who we currently are. And what we do with every new hire is we check first, do you fit the company? Do you fit our core values? If that's a yes, then we move on to the next check. And that's, are you competent enough to do the job we want to hire you for? Because you get a very competent person that is extremely good at his job, but is maybe a complete asshole. Yeah. Then the net result of the whole company will go down. So you want people that are nice to work with, that fit your core values, that are in our case like authentic, entrepreneurial, good team players, and that's important for us. And then we move on to see if the person is competent, because competence alone is not going to nail it. You need to have also the soft skills to combine it with to become a good team player and to fit in the company.
Yeah, I think that's so important and so overlooked. So we alongside this in the Financial Technologist, we also run the Ultimate Fintech Workplace Awards every year. So this is where companies are writing in, and a judging panel again will look at what makes them a great place to work, what makes them a great culture. And generally, if you're a great place to work, you've got a business that's going to be successful from it as well. So it's very, very interesting crossovers. And I remember the first winner of that award really embedded their values into everything they did. And having worked and recruited with them, you kind of knew immediately before you'd sent anyone over whether they were going to be right, because they were people first, and they had some pretty eccentric values which they knew, such as wear the loud shirt. So that their founder is a guy who's constantly got a different suit and shirt that will make him stand out from 10 miles away. But the philosophy of the business is be there and be bold and be brazen. And if you had a shrinking violet that went into that business, it would be something that's noted very straight away. Naturally, because of that, they had a strong business that continued to grow from it. And I think what you're talking about there is something that I recommend to any business looking to grow, is to make sure that the first thing you look at is the person, and then maybe the professional and the technologist after that. If you get that person right at the start, you've got a great chance of working on the other two. And so it's really refreshing to hear. You probably know surprise.
I fully agree with what you're saying, and I always I truly believe that if you hire the right people, you get the right culture, and culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? So if stuff happens here and we just need to work a bit harder or make an all-nighter, people won't complain, because it's what we like, it's what we do, it's who we are.
Get those sleeves rolled up. So this is something I could talk about for ages, and I know that we're probably running over time and schedule already. But you've just touched on one of my favourite points, obviously, to be talking.
I noticed. Yeah.
I could be on it for some time. Listen, it's been amazing to hear a little bit more about the business. Congratulations for everything you've achieved so far. It sounds like even more exciting things are to come over this year, and you know, the scale in the States that sounds amazing what you're doing at the moment, how you're innovating, and in a particularly interesting time for global economics and business. I think what you can add to the party at the moment sounds like it's, you know, it's perfectly formed to add real value. So I'm sure there's going to be people who are watching this and seeing what you're talking about and listening to what you're talking about and being connected to the business. How should people get in touch with you?
People can always contact me directly they can connect via LinkedIn. They can send me an email. It's my first name at owlin.com. I'm always willing to grab a coffee if people have an interesting story to tell or are interested in knowing more about Owlin.
Well, I shall look forward to a coffee with you in Amsterdam next time I'm over there.
You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome.
And
perfect.
The factory just out your window there, maybe a little bit more as well. So
yeah. So we're as I already told you, we're next to the head office of Heineken International. So there's enough to do in the neighborhoods where we're sitting with our offices right now.
That's great. Lovely to speak to you. Thanks so much for giving us your time, and we will be in touch with you very soon. Thank you everyone for watching this episode of Fintech Focus TV. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. I've loved talking to you, and we'll see you soon on another episode. Thank you very much.